then the book would turn out all right. I didn't think I could imitate Robert Jordan's prose, but I felt that since I knew the characters so well, I could get them to feel like themselves, and then the book would work. So that has been my goal. Let's go ahead and do a reading. Is there someone who would like me to read from their copy during the reading? All right, bring it on up. Like I said, I'm going to do a very short reading. Let's see, what should I do? Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I will go ahead and read from the first page in the prologue because this part reminds me of Robert Jordan. As far as I know, Maria might correct me on this, but as far as I know, this is the very last bit of work Robert Jordan did on the series, was this scene. This scene came from on his deathbed. He was too weak to write, and he called them in and had them get a tape recorder, and he dictated a scene for the Wheel of Time. He loved his fans very, very much, and he really wanted you to have this book, and so he did everything he could to get it to you. That's okay, I do that all the time. Don't feel so bad, it's okay. We didn't even start the reading yet. Now if someone does it during the reading, then we'll throw things at them. What, no, I thought someone said something over there. Okay, this scene that makes me think of him. I was given this scene in transcribed form, and it read kind of like a screenplay. In places there was a lot of detail, in other places he just said, and then they talk about this, or then this happens, and then they do this. And so in places in these paragraphs, you will read some paragraphs that were put in, some sentences put in as is from Robert Jordan, and then other places was me filling it out and making more of a scene from it. So you really actually get to see both of us a lot in this scene. So that's why I like to read it. So I'm going to take off the jacket because it's getting a little warm in here. And then I will read, just like I said, I'm going to read 2 pages. Probably will only take like 5 minutes. Renaud Fanoir sat on his porch, warming the sturdy black oak chair crafted for him by his grandson 2 years before. He stared northward at the black and silver clouds. He'd never seen their like before. They blanketed the entire horizon to the north, high in the sky. They weren't gray. They were black and silver. Dark, rumbling thunderheads, as dark as a root cellar at midnight, with striking silver light breaking between them, flashes of lightning that gave off no sound. The air was thick with the sense of dust and dirt, of dried leaves and rain that refused to fall. Spring had come, and yet his crops didn't grow. Not a sprout had dared poke through the earth. He rose slowly from his chair, wood creaking, chair rocking softly behind him, and walked up to the edge of the porch. He chewed on his pipe, though its fire had long gone out. He couldn't be bothered to relight it. Those clouds transfixed him. They were so black, like the smoke of a brush fire, only no brush fire smoke ever rose that high in the air. And what to make of silver clouds, bulging between the black ones, like places where polished steel shone through metal crusted with soot? He rubbed his chin, glancing down at his yard. A small, whitewashed fence contained a patch of grass and shrubs. The shrubs were dead now, every one of them. Hadn't lasted through that winter. He'd need to pull them out soon. And the grass, well, the grass was still just winter thatch. Not even any weeds sprouted. A clap of thunder shook him, pure, sharp, like an enormous crash of metal against metal. It rattled the windows of the house, shook the floorboards, seemed to vibrate his very bones. He jumped back. That strike had been close, perhaps on his property. He itched to go inspect the damage. Lightning fire could destroy a man, burn him out of his land. Up here in the borderlands, so many things were intentional tinder. Dry grass, dry shingles, dry seed. But the clouds were still distant. That strike couldn't have been on his property. The silver and black thunderheads rolled and boiled, feeding and consuming themselves. He closed his eyes, calming himself, taking a deep breath. Had he imagined the thunder? Was he going off the side, as Gaffin had always joked? He opened his eyes. And the clouds were right there, directly above his house. It was as if they had suddenly rolled forward, intending to strike while his gaze was averted. They dominated the sky now, sweeping distantly in either direction, massive and overwhelming. He could almost feel their weight pressing the air down around him. He drew in a breath that was heavy with sudden humidity, and his brow prickled with sweat. Those clouds churned, dark, black, and silver thunderheads, shaking with white blasts. They suddenly boiled downward like the funnel cloud of a twister coming for him. He cried out, raising a hand as a man might before a powerfully bright light. That blackness, that endless, suffocating blackness, it would take him, he knew. And then the clouds were gone. His pipe hit the porch's floorboards, clicking softly, tossing burned tabac out in a spray across the steps. He hadn't realized he'd let it slip free. Ronald hesitated, looking up at the empty blue sky, realizing that he was cringing at nothing. The clouds were off on the horizon again, some 40 leagues distant. They thundered softly.